Hello and welcome to Sketch of the Day. For this week I want to focus on a different type of sketch than the ones that we've been doing. It's not a lot different, but it is a slightly different technique that is particularly useful for certain types of applications. And what I'm talking about is called a perspective drawing. Perspective drawing means that we're drawing the object in a way that looks a little bit more realistic as far as the way that our eyes perceive an object in the real three-dimensional world. The only real change we're going to see to the sketches that we've been doing is that instead of all of the lines traveling at the same angle back in the depth direction or back in the width direction, sometimes those lines are going to converge. They're going to basically end up going toward each other way off in the distance. What that does is it gives us the optical illusion that the object is bigger where it's closest to us and smaller where it's farther away. That's how we actually see things. If you look down the road looks widest when it's close to you and it looks narrow when it's far away. If we sketch objects with that same technique, we can create the three-dimensional illusion of depth on a two-dimensional drawing surface. So we're going to start very, very simple with perspectives today. We're going to do what's called a one-point perspective, and that means that only one of the three dimensions are going to converge. The other two are going to remain parallel. So height and width, in this case, are still going to be made from parallel lines, but the depth lines are going to draw towards each other as they go further into the distance. And we'll start with a very simple, easy example. What I want you to do first is to draw 6 squares on your page. Draw 2 somewhere near the top, draw 2 somewhere near the bottom, and draw 2 around about the middle. There we go. Now, near the center of your page, draw a small point. That point you can think of as a point on the horizon line. If you use a straight edge and draw a horizontal line through that point, think of that point as the horizon line. And below that line is the ground, and above that line is the sky. When we draw perspectives, all of the converging lines are going to be going toward the same point out in the distance. We call it a vanishing point. That point we drew in the middle of the page is going to be our vanishing point for these different cubes. Now, in three-dimensional space, depending on where these cubes are, we'd be able to see different sides of them. These ones that are up from us, we're going to be able to see the bottom of them. We're going to be able to see part of the side. The ones that are on the horizon line, we might only be able to see part of the side. And with these ones below the horizon line, we'd be able to see part of the top, and we'd be able to see part of one side. So for this one, you're going to want to grab a straight edge, and I'm just using a drawing triangle because it's what's closest to me. You can use the edge of a notebook, you can use a ruler, you can use just about any straight thing that you can use to help draw straight lines. And what we do here is we take each corner of each square and set our straight edge so that it's running from that corner to that center. And very lightly, draw a light construction line running all the way into the center. Then go to the next corner, do the same thing. And then the next corner, and do the same thing. Now I'm not going to do this upper corner because the edge going from this upper corner back to that vanishing point is behind my object, so I'm not going to fill that one in. Now here's the interesting part. This front edge is vertical height line. My back edge is also going to be a vertical height line. I'm going to slide my straight edge over a little bit, keeping it vertical, and I'm going to draw the vertical back edge of that cube. Then I'm going to do the same thing with this lower width line. It was a straight horizontal width line. The back edge is going to be that way too, and I'm going to connect it with the bottom corner point of my height line. Now I've defined the front and back edges of my object, and I can take my light construction lines that I did to make the depth edges, and I can darken them up, make them a solid permanent part of my sketch now. And then right up close to my object, I'm just going to erase some of these construction lines. I'm not going to erase them all. I'm just going to erase the ones that come up against my cube. And what I've just drawn is a 1-point perspective cube. My width and height lines are parallel. My depth lines converge toward this point out in the distance. All of the depth lines follow that rule. Wherever they start, they all go in that direction. So work your way around from one square to the next. And on each one, repeat this process. Light construction lines to draw in the depth lines. Then decide where the shape should end and keep the lines parallel on the back edge with their matching lines on the front edge. Once you've established the depth of the shape, go back and darken up those depth lines. And finally, erase the construction lines where they are closest to your object. Kind of cool, huh? Gives us the optical illusion that we have 6 cubes flying at us from far off in the distance. Using perspective sketches helps us make objects that look a little bit more realistic. Throughout the week, we're going to do a little bit more practice with perspectives. We'll draw some more shapes, we'll add some complexity, and add this to your list of techniques that you know how to use. For now, sign it, date it, and sketch of the day is all done.